Hey everybody, Tim here with today's episode of Enterprise, Season 1, Episode 22, Fallen Hero. Now, before I start to get into this episode, this is a huge episode. It's a really important episode. This is my 600th Star Trek episode, or Star Trek video, which is huge. That's massive. I've actually done more episodes than that, technically, because if you look at like the animated series, I did, 22 episodes and 4 videos. But still, this is big, like 600 videos. This all started as like an experiment for me, because I have like social anxiety and I don't like communicate well with people. So I was like, hey, why don't I just pick something I love, namely Star Trek, and just kind of go with it, talk to you guys about it. First, it just started on Facebook, and then people are like, hey, this is actually pretty good. You should organize it better, though. So I started putting it on YouTube, where now I can have playlists and stuff, and it's been great. I've made so many friends. Like, this is fantastic. So 600 videos, Star Trek, the animated series, the movies, The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and now in Enterprise. Like, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm not sure if anybody has actually watched all of them, but if you have, let me know, because that'd be great. That being said, as of right this second, I don't know what today's date is, it's like October 17th or something, with all of the Star Trek episodes that are currently out, I have less than 100 episodes left to go before I am completely caught up with all of the series. So that's awesome. I believe the next series is actually Picard, which is going to be in January. So I have more than enough time to blitz through 100 episodes. But that's awesome. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys that have subscribed, and it means a lot to me. That being said, I kind of wish this was a better episode. Like, most of this episode is not really that great. Probably the last, 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, is what makes it worth watching. From the very beginning, they start talking about Risa, which is actually pretty cool. It's one of those, I don't care they didn't mention it in the original series, or even even late into The Next Generation, because that's where it first started, was the Captain's Holiday for The Next Generation. But that's one of those, I don't care how late it was brought in. I could totally buy that they knew about it during this time, but I really like that little shout out. From there on, this episode becomes so, double-crossing, secret agenda type story that, I slowly lost interest the more it goes through it, until we finally get to the very end. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Where we meet Ambassador Valar, who's a great guest star. She's this, her third Star Trek episode. What kind of annoys me is that she actually has a personality, but they never answer why, or at least that I caught. They never talk about why or anything like that. They just oh, that's who she is. Which this whole episode is about how she is a criminal, and they have to take her back to Vulcan, or at least rendezvous with a Vulcan battlecruiser to take her away. When you get to the end of the episode, it turns out that she's actually a character witness in this court ordeal, and she's like, oh no, I need to leave. And so they try to take her away. And then those people are chasing after her. It's so overly complicated, I don't understand it. And interesting to note, I think this is the first time the Enterprise has actually hit Warp 5. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Because, that's the whole big deal. Is, this is the first this is the first Earth ship that can hit Warp 5. But we've never seen them do it. It took them 22 episodes to get here. At this point, they're going Warp 5. The people are, chasing after them to get Valar. But the Vulcan battlecruiser that can go Warp 7 is coming towards them. And Archer's like, how long until we rendezvous? And T'Pol's like, 12 minutes. And then they get knocked out of subspace. So they're just kind of sitting there while the people are like, we're going to board you. Now, I'm not good at math. I'm an English major. Not good at math. So those whole, if a train is leaving Boston and a train is leaving San Francisco, could never do those math problems. I still don't know how to do those math problems. But if the Enterprise is going Warp 5 and this Vulcan battlecruiser is going Warp 7 and they're going to cross paths in 12 minutes, but then the Enterprise stops, how is it that they still are going to rendezvous in 10 minutes? Like, that made no sense to me. I don't know if I missed a step or what's going on, but I was like, yeah, there's something in there. And Archer's like, we have to stall for 10 minutes for the battle cruiser to get here. Yeah, if you both were going at warp speed and it was 12 minutes and now only one of you is going warp speed, that time's not going to go down. That time's going to go up. But whatever. What do I know? The whole sickbay scene is actually where this episode starts to get good, where they're like, take her out of there, and Dr. Phlox is like, no, she's sick. Like, I have to make her well. And so they actually shoot into, like, it's almost like an MRI machine. Like, that was actually a pretty interesting scene. And then when the battlecruiser finally shows up, it's like, okay, you guys have never really talked about Vulcans and having battleships. Like, it's kind of weird. And even the Vulcan captain's like, hey, you need help? Tell them to back down or I'm going to blow them up. And I was like, what kind of Vulcan captain says that? Like, Vulcans are just weird. Not even in this episode, but this whole series. I don't understand. Like, Vulcans seem very odd. Like, they don't know about mind melds. They get knocked out with a single punch. Like, something's weird about this series. The whole thing where Valar's talking to T'Pol and Archer, and she's like, you two have the bond of friendship, and it bodes well for our species. Like, okay, Spock's gonna be born in, like, I don't know, 70 years, if he's even the first human hybrid. So I get that shout out, and it's kind of referencing that Vulcans and humans are going to start really getting to know each other. But I don't know, that whole scene felt really awkward. And once again, this whole first season, like, they've tried to hook T'Pol up with all of these different people, and this just seems like one more instance where she's like, oh, you two are going to get together. And it's like, no, they're not. Stop trying to force it. It's weird. And then she does say, live long and prosper, but doesn't really do the salute. So I thought that was weird. Like, if you're going to give one, you should just give the other to really round it out. But I don't know, like, this episode had some really good moments and then some really, like, what's happening? I don't understand type moments. So for those who have seen this one, what did you guys think about the Ryza shout out? What did you think about Valar having personality? What did you think about Warp 5? Go ahead, let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys. Once again, 600 episodes. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys have been watching it along with me, let me know. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you guys next time for Desert Crossing.